Hello, it's Molly Reamer with Bridget's Grove, and I wanted to make a quick little video about teeny tiny journals. And I bought this little tiny journal at a craft store. I think it was really meant to be a necklace. It's got a little loop in it, and I think you're just supposed to make jewelry out of it. But Tanner, our youngest kid, asked me if I was going to write anything in it, and I said, as a matter of fact, I'm going to write micro poems in it. And it was just an idea at the moment of doing these micro poems, and then I started doing them, and it was so much fun that I wanted to share. So I've written lots of tiny little poems. I only started it on the day after the solstice, the winter solstice, so December 22nd. And now it is January 7th when I'm making this video, so I've written that much, teeny tiny poems. And the thing that's been fun is it's just a little, it's just a sentence essentially about the day or the thing you were thinking about, the ideas that you had. But it's just fun to keep it in a tiny book. And if you don't like tiny things, that's totally fine. I have always loved tiny things, and so I find this very fulfilling to do this kind of micro poetry, or I guess you could call it micro journaling. Anyway, so then I had this different idea, which is not as fancy of a little book. It's just a little stapled, matchbook size book. But I found it it was really fun to do. And so while this one is kind of a day-to-day little micro poem about what's actually happening and what I'm doing, this one I took some things I wanted to remember from the book that I wrote in that book that I finished writing last year. It's not edited or ready to publish or anything like that yet, but I drew like 13 conclusions, or I had 13 tasks from that book, and I printed them out as a thing. So maybe it seems a little odd to, have a tiny book, print something out from a book, and cut it up and stick it in your tiny book. But I don't actually care because it was really great. And so you would not have to do that. You would not have to cut up a poem or cut up a section of the book. I had these little punches, so I punched out some little stuff. I'm going to put a few more little pictures and art things in here as well, but I kept these 13 tasks that I wanted, tasks for rebuilding the soul, and then I made a page for each one of them in my little book, and it's like my tiny little reminder of those things I want to remember. And then I had some more room, so I took some other pieces of poems that are things that I really want to remember, that I really want to hold close, that I really want to be reminded of, and then put them here. And I find that the process of cutting them up and choosing which words to use, because these are a combination of things. I edited, I cut words out that I felt were unnecessary. I combined multiple poems together into the little book, and but it's kind of distilled into this reminder to myself, but in this really deliberate process of creation and really thinking about it. So if you're going to make a tiny book, and that means you really want to choose each word with, extreme care, because you're only going to have this much space and this much room to put what it is that you really want to remember, you really want to think of, you really want to know. And so I actually recommend that little method of choosing something that it can be something you've written or something I've written or something somebody else has written that you really, really want to engage with, and you really, really want to pay attention to and remember, and then engaging with it in this little small cutting and gluing and thoughtful. It kind of soaks it in a different way. Plus, then you're left with a teeny tiny little reminder that you can carry with you, or put in a pocket, or stick into a larger journal. I thought about putting it in an envelope. I keep these envelopes in my other journals, and I thought I could tuck it in there, and then it's a little book that you take out and have your memory of, or your touchstone kind of the lesson that you wanted to absorb. And so that's my tiny little book, and it was so much fun. I wanted to share it with you and encourage you to make a tiny little book too with something that's important to you. It could be tiny little sketches. It could be tiny little micropoems that you write by hand, like I've been doing in that one. Or it could be something meaningful that you cut apart. It could be stickers even. It could be little images. It could be, kind of like your rules for living or your guideposts for living, your core things that are kind of distilled down into teeny tiny form. So I wanted to share that with you because I love to do little things like that, and I thought you might not have thought of it yourself, and you would enjoy the idea as well. So thanks for being here, and thanks for watching, and may you enjoy creating.